I'm Lauren with IndoorGardening.com, and today we're going to talk about how to make your plants climb. There are a lot of different reasons as to why you may want your plants to climb. Generally, the reasoning is they are some type of naturally climbing plant. There are Monstera, they are a Philodendron, they are some type of a Hoya. There are a lot of different plants out there that are standard houseplants that are normally climbing plants. They may have ended up as trailing houseplants where you got them as like a hanging basket, but now you want to see what they can really be. Most of the time you're not going to have plants come as climbing plants. For the most part, you're going to end up getting them either as little cuttings or just as hanging plants in general. And you want them to climb so that their leaves can get bigger and wider. They can change their shape. Philodendron especially will go from these little teeny tiny heart-shaped leaves to these big giant velvety, luscious, veiny foliage. It's freaking amazing. If you haven't seen it, you need to Google it, double check it, because it's absolutely freaking gorgeous. Monstera are the same way. You want to give them something to climb so that they can mature faster and they can get those big fenestrated leaves and go from these little teeny tiny heart-shaped plants. We'll do a whole other video on a bunch of different types of plants to climb, but for today, let's talk about how to get plants to climb. When you're trying to get your plant to climb, your plant is going to need 4 things. It doesn't matter what type of plant it is, they are all going to need these 4 things in order to climb. They are going to need proper light, regular fertilization, something for them to actually climb on, and they are going to need really good humidity. If they don't have these 4 things, they are not going to do anything for you. They're just going to continue doing what they've always done. They might kind of lean up against whatever you're trying to get them to climb, but that's pretty much it. They're not going to go crazy like you want. They're not going to become that big, beautiful plant that you want them to become. So first up, let's talk about proper lighting. Most of the time, whatever plant you're trying to get to climb is going to need quite a bit of light. They may not need full-on direct light, but they're definitely not going to want to be shoved in a dark corner with no light. They're not going to want to grow with no light. They need that light to provide them nourishment and energy so that way they can push out all of these leaves and actually grow bigger and bigger and bigger. If they don't have the extra energy to grow bigger, then they're not going to be able to do that. They're also going to need energy to push out the aerial roots that are actually going to allow them to attach to the thing you're trying to climb. So in addition to actually growing and climbing, they're trying to cling on to something as well. So they're going to need that extra light. Maybe not full direct light, but definitely bright indirect light for majority of plants, with a few exceptions here and there, like a Philodendron micans will kind of do it anyway. Even though it doesn't have that much light, it still needs more light than we think it does. Just like the lighting, plants need proper nutrients in order to continue to grow. It's just like vitamins for people. You need those vitamins and nutrients in order to be able to be healthy and be able to push out that new growth and be the best that you can be. Our plants are the same exact way. They are going to want regular fertilization. So you pick whatever kind of fertilizer works best for you. We have a whole video broken down for fertilizers if you want to go give a look at that. But whatever fertilizer you choose, just make sure that you are feeding your plants on a regular schedule, so that way they are not missing anything. Something to stay on top of if you're really trying to size up your foliage and get your plant to grow. This one is pretty obvious. You need something for your plants to climb. Depending on the type of plant, most of the time you can get some type of trellis, some type of wood board. You can lean them up against a wall. There are things been made out of popsicle sticks. You can get them a dowel rod, a pole. There are also cocoa core poles that you can use. You can get them on Amazon. You can also get empty plastic poles. Basically, the center is hollow, but they have spaces in them for aerial roots. You fill them with whatever material you want. You can use leca, you can use sphagnum moss. There are lots of different kinds of bark out there that plants are willing to root in, just like if they're climbing a tree. There are definitely lots of options out there. It just depends on the specific type of plant and your environment. It also depends on your aesthetic that you're trying to go for. Some people like to look at bark. Some people like to look at wood boards that their plants are climbing on. Other people prefer to just have one giant bushy pole where the plant has wrapped all the way around it. You can't even see the pole. So it just depends on what works best for you. There are just lots of different options out there. Either way, your plant is definitely going to need something to climb on. Almost all the houseplants come from a very humid, very warm tropical region. Generally speaking, unless there's some type of ivy, they are not going to be climbing trees up north. They're going to be climbing trees down south in a tropical region. So they are going to need very high humidity, especially if you want them to push out those aerial roots. It's going to soften everything up. It's going to allow more nutrients into the air, which is what the aerial roots will be taking in as well. So in order to get your plant to properly attach to whatever you're trying to make, you want to make sure that you have a 75 to 80% humidity going on for them. If you have something like a moss pole where the moss is kept constantly moist, then you won't need something like a humidifier. You can just have that moisture in the air and around the aerial roots already. But if you have a plants on boards, you are going to need a specific humidity level in your room or in your greenhouse, whatever you have, just around the plant in general. So that way they have enough humidity to really push out those aerial roots and just continue to grow and be the best that they can possibly be. Hopefully this demystified having your plants climb and how to get them to really attach. Hopefully this pinpointed some problem areas for you, so that way you know what you need to work on in your own home in order to get your plants to size up and grow and be the best that you can be. And hopefully this made you think about actually looking up what your plants can become instead of just accepting that they are these little heart-shaped little babies that we absolutely love. But sometimes it's really cool to see them become so much more. We do have lots of other videos for you, so make sure you subscribe. Be sure to check out indoorgardening.com for more information. We are always happy to help. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you in the next one. Bye!